I just wanted to post a video of the sentence that we did not have time to get to today. We had so many new pieces of information, and I do feel like it was kind of important to get to both of these sentences today, just because we were going to get to apply the new pieces of grammar that we learned in class. So I was going to just share this. If your child wants to do it along with me, or if you just want to look it over, they can, or if not, that's okay too. So the second sentence that we were going to practice with our analytical task was, my friend Eric kicked the ball really hard. So I have it written out here, and we'll just go through this as we normally would with our analytical tasks, and do it how we normally do it in class. So if you guys want to write it down, or if you just want to observe, that's great. I'll try to go through it slowly so that you can sort of think and try to answer the questions, even if it's just in your mind, before I just blurt it out. But okay, so the first thing we do is we just write it down, and we check our mechanics. So we check for our 5 parts of a sentence. Does it start with a capital letter? Does it end with an end mark? Does it make complete sense? Is there a subject? Is there a predicate? Are there any missing punctuations or capitalizations? It's the first thing we do. And hopefully it's right. So they should be good. All right, and then the next question that we are going to ask is, what is the purpose of this sentence? So we see that the end mark is a period. That's a clue. But what is it doing? Is it making a statement? Is it asking a question? Is it exclaiming something? Is it giving a command? My friend Eric kicked the ball really hard. This is just a declarative sentence because it's just making a statement and it ends with an end mark. Remember, we could change it by adding an exclamation point, because we kicked it really hard. That could be something worth exclaiming. But this is a declarative sentence. And we like to ask that question early on, because today, like when we were learning about imperative sentences, it helps to keep in mind we know it's imperative, so that tells us something about the subject later on when we get to that. Okay, so let's figure out our structure next. So we ask the questions, are there any prepositional phrases in here? The reason why we're doing that is because if there's a prepositional phrase, then it could be a complex sentence, which I don't know if I've touched on so much, which there are not any prepositions in here, which would start off a prepositional phrase. Are there any conjunctions or relative pronouns? Our conjunctions are fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. My friend Eric kicked the ball really hard. There is none of those. Okay, so let's double check whether or not this is an independent clause, which those questions help lead us to believe that it's an independent clause, but we can just double check. There's a subject and there's a verb, and it makes complete sense. It can stand alone, so it's an independent clause, and we would underline it 1 time for an independent clause, 2 times for dependent clauses, which we haven't really gone through yet. All right, so if it's an independent clause, we know that the structure is, I'll wait a second, but we should know that an independent clause, just one single independent clause, is a simple sentence. Now, this is a lot longer than most of our simple sentences that we have been looking at. So we'll get to see what other parts are in here. But let's go ahead with our question confirmation. So, who or what is this sentence about? My friend Eric kicked the ball really hard. The who or what that it's about is friend. Now, you could be confused because there's also Eric here, but we'll get to it, okay? So friend is our subject, and friend is a subject noun or pronoun. It's a noun because it's not a pronoun that replaces a noun in order to avoid repetition is our pronoun. A noun is just names a person, place, thing, activity, or idea. Now, our next question is going to be, what is being said about our subject? What is my friend doing? Kicked is our verb, and we're just going to leave it a V for right now because we're going to ask some more questions to see what kind of verb it may be. So we're going to try to figure out, is anything being transferred with this verb? Okay, so we can ask the question, my friend kicked what or who? Hopefully not a who, but my friend kicked the ball, right? So ball is a DO for direct object. And that means that kicked was transferring action to the ball, which makes it a verb transitive for transferring the action. Alrighty. Let's see. I'm gonna stop right here so that we can see the pattern before I fill in a whole bunch of other stuff. And I only have one color here. Would have been maybe more helpful. So we'll stop here and see if we recognize this pattern to be S, V, T, D, O. And then we get to go through and figure out what the rest of this stuff is, which is fun because we're getting more things to analyze. So just go ahead and see the pattern there before we fill in too much stuff. And we're just going to start at the very beginning and see, and be patient with me because there might be some things that I'm having to figure out too. All right, so we're just going to start at the very beginning to see what has not been labeled yet. So we're going to first look at my, and what is my doing here? We haven't gotten into adjectives yet, but you may recognize this from our pronoun chart, my. But what my is doing is it is modifying friend. And we learned, some of you guys have already pointed out and you know that when a noun or a pronoun is being modified, it is an adjective. So that is what my is doing. My is answering the question, whose friend? My friend. So it's an adjective, it's a special kind of adjective, it's a possessive pronoun adjective. So you see it also on our, sorry, it's kind of hard to write upside down. But it's an adjective, but it's also on our pronoun chart. It's a possessive pronoun adjective. All right, let's go to Eric. My friend, Eric. Let's figure out what Eric is doing in this sentence. So today we learned about an appositive. And how does our tune go? Maybe I didn't. I need to share that one too. I think we sing this one too, B-I-N-G-O. And a positive is a noun or pronoun directly beside another noun that explains or identifies it, explains or identifies it, explains or identifies it. That's an appositive. So I wanted to do this sentence because we had an appositive in here and we hadn't gotten to practice that yet. So is Eric a noun or pronoun directly beside another noun that's helping to explain or identify it? I think so. So we're going to label it AP for a positive. All right, let's look at the. The is, what's it doing here? The is, and it kind of seems silly to say that it's describing ball, but it is. It's saying like, which ball? The ball. It is an article adjective. A, an, and the are all article adjectives. So it is modifying ball. Which ball? The ball. Alrighty. All right, now we have really hard. Let's look at hard first. Today we learned about adverbs, and adverbs modify. An adverb modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. It answers the questions how, when, where, and why, and some other things too. So if I said, what is hard doing here? Does it make sense that it's telling us how the ball was kicked? That's what makes it an adverb. It's telling us more about the verb kicked. How was it kicked? It was kicked hard. Okay, so we're gonna put in AV above AV for adverb above hard. Now, I wanted to do hard first, so that we could then look at really. What is really doing here? Really is actually modifying hard. How hard? Really hard. So our adverbs, remember, they modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So it could be telling us even more about an adverb, okay? So it's also an adverb. All right, let's see if we can diagram this. All right, so it is an SVTDO. So we've been working with that shape quite a bit. I'm going to draw it normal, not upside down. So we're going to draw our vertical line, a horizontal line, a vertical line that goes through, and another vertical line that does not go through. So we have our S goes here, VT, DO goes here. And we've got quite a bit of modifiers that we're going to add to this baby. All right. Now, I'm hoping I have enough room. We'll fit it in. All right, so our subject is friend. Now remember, we have an appositive. The appositive goes in our subject and it's in parentheses. So we would write this, I apologize, I'm gonna have to keep flipping it around. Not that fancy. So I'm gonna put friend, and then in parentheses, I'm gonna put Eric. Like so. Now remember, we include our capitalization in our diagrams. We do not include our punctuation, okay? So friend and Eric go on our subject side, and then we'll have our predicate is going to be kicked, which I guess I could have made a little more space for our subject. And then we know our DO goes here, which is ball. All right, we've got, okay, let's just start back and we'll start filling these things in. Remember when we have a modifying word, it's gonna be connected to the word that it's modifying, okay? So whose friend? My friend. So we're gonna do, forgive me if my writing is weird. So my is gonna get attached to friend right there. My friend Eric kicked the, what was the modifying? The was modifying ball down here. Okay. Let's see. Really hard. So this one will be a little bit tricky. And if you remember, we modified first. Or we didn't modify. We looked at hard first because we knew that was how the ball was kicked, right? Hard. And then I might have to look back, but really is going to be modifying hard. It's supposed to do another slanty line. We might need to double check exactly how this goes. But the concept is it would be attached to hard. Really hard. And I think we've got all of it. So I can see. Let me double check my notes. Make sure I'm not leading you guys astray. Okay. Oh, that makes more sense. So we can make this look a little better. Do a little line and then another little slant for really, okay? And that is that. Sorry, a little messy, but yeah, sorry we didn't get to that. And I wanted you guys to see how we did that with some of our new stuff. Have fun, good luck.